My name is Mark Williams. I'm the Research Director at MHR. I'm going to talk this afternoon about this tiny subject, AI for or against people, the future of work-in balance. Okay, what am I going to cover then? So we're going to start off with a kind of basic, what is AI? We're going to look at AI working for us, and by working for us I mean working for HR. Yeah. And then the possible futures of work. Nobody knows exactly what's going to happen. If they do, then don't believe them. So we're going to look at what could be the futures of work. Okay, so what is AI? AI isn't a new thing. It's been around since the 50s and 60s, and it's basically trying to make computers cognitive like we are. Yeah. The reason it's kind of come into, so it's obviously a buzzword, otherwise you wouldn't all be here, but you know what I mean. So the buzzword du jour, the reason it's coming about is mainly because of machine learning and big data. Yeah. But before we get into machine learning and big data, I just want to qualify the difference between what they call weak AI and strong AI. Okay, weak AI is something that does a kind of shallow area. It does it very well, but it doesn't do anything else. Okay? So you could say something like a chess computer. It can play chess, but it can't load the dishes in my dishwasher. Yeah? It doesn't jump over to another area. So weak AI, very prevalent at the moment, lots of good reasons and lots of progress in weak AI. What they call strong AI or general AI is we've made a machine that can think like a human. That more than that thing. I can jump from one thing to another. Okay? We are nowhere near, even the best estimates is like 20 years before we start to get a bottom-up general AI, strong AI. Okay? So what we'll be talking about and what you will be confronting in your own careers is weak AI. Yeah? So you'll be doing, this is one job that I can do very well. Yeah? Okay? Now, before I go any further, just let's, so who is either a builder, a buyer, somebody who deals with procurement? Hands up, who's involved in the procurement process for you or involved in building software? Anybody? Yeah? Yeah. Okay. All of the rest of you are just interested parties. I mean, so I think all of you are here because we think this is important going forward. Yeah. So what I want to do is just some basic kind of ground rules. I'm not pushing a product or anything. We're just going to talk about generally about AI and how it's going to go forward. Okay. So I talked a little bit about machine learning. This is probably a little bit disrespectful to dogs. But machine learning is mostly to do with training, hence the mental picture that I have to give myself to remind myself. So it's to do with training. And the reason why AI has become a hot topic is because now we can get the machine to learn with hundreds of millions of pieces of data which are available from the internet. Okay? So it's about training and it's about having a lot of data. An example of this is at MHR we use a cognitive service which is, here's a picture and I'll tell you what it is. Yeah? You've probably seen it on Google and stuff. Well, this is exactly the kind of example. It's not doing anything, I mean, it's pretty clever. In fact, the closer you get to it, sometimes it's not so clever. And we've got, like, if you put train tickets through our expenses algorithm, it says it's 2 giraffes lying on a beach or something. But the key thing is that somebody has gone along saying, this is a cat, this is a dog, this is a dog, this is a cat. And by repeating a whole number of times, that's how it learns, okay? But somebody is training it. It's not just doing it for fun, okay? And we get the things like DeepMind. Everybody, hands up if you've heard of DeepMind. We talked about it earlier on. Yeah. So we've got like kind of computers that are getting more sophisticated. So a chess computer did beating people at chess by sheer numbers of stuff. didn't actually make any decisions in a kind of decision tree. It just worked out the probability using a kind of brute force, what they call brute force. This is DeepMind learning to play a game. Okay, so to begin with, after a few training sessions, it can't do it, and then slowly it begins to learn, and it plays itself as it begins to learn. Okay, and then on this one, it works out the quickest way is to go round the back on breakout and kind of knock it all down from behind. So it takes those kind of basic rules that somebody's trained it and then kind of works it out for itself. And this is something called, this is Monte Carlo search tree, but it's basically evolving maths. Yeah? This is how it works. Not brute force, but evolving maths. And DeepMind is at the stage now where they're starting to say, well, maybe it's learned something about this game. What can we remember what we learned about that game and transfer it over to this game? Okay. So it's maths. It's been trained by somebody, but so one of the promises of it is that the really, really baby steps is to go from weak AI to strong AI by getting those, remembering what I've learned from one thing to another. We're still miles away from that, by the way. Okay, so last year when I came to talk to you, we talked about the super chess game Go. Is that anybody familiar with Go? Yes, thank you, gentlemen, about one person. So this is kind of a super chess, 16 by 16, I think the board is, and there are way more possibilities than you could ever compute with a computer. It'd take forever. So we've got to kind of have a difficult decision tree. This time last year, we talked about it beating, this was the third world's best. This time this year, it can beat everybody. But these things are talking to themselves. So the way that AlphaGo works is that it plays itself a lot, millions of times, all the time. So it's in this little kind of sandbox, and it does that all the time. Now, when we talk about people, not quite the same. There's a lot of power structures, there's a lot of relationships outside that are not in a server room somewhere on the West Coast. It's complicated. Yeah? Now, this made me laugh when I found it on the internet. This is the kind of hubris that we get in the industry, that people analytics leading on to AI is the new HR. Okay. That was at Wharton People Analytics Conference. I was lucky enough to go there this year. Only 2 years later, Malcolm Gladwell, the poster boy for People Analytics, is saying, I'm not optimistic about how analytics will go in the future. I'm going to wait until you've done your selfie. All right. So not really a selfie. So, first bit, it's complicated. So AI working for us, what does that mean? For HR, what does that mean? Well, AI is neutral. It doesn't do one thing or another. Like all technology, it's just neutral. There is a person who makes that technology into what it is. There's a builder. So the technology itself is neutral, but there is somebody, an invisible man in the background who's built it for you with their own assumptions. Now you might be lucky. It could be Gandhi, it could be Donald Trump. Part of it is working out what bias is in that software. Yeah? Now, some people say technology removes the bias of humans. Well, it kind of does. It kind of does, but somebody has built something with it with their own assumptions. So technology in the rawest sense is neutral, but by the time you get to it, it's passed through all sorts of assumptions. Now, let's take our West Coast friends. Our assumptions will be, so the people who are making these assumptions are mostly white, mostly men, mostly rich, mostly with a worldview that's nothing like ours, and they're making decisions based on their worldview. So to say that technology doesn't have a bias is wrong. And the rest of this talk is about how can we discern that bias, what can we do? Yeah. So there's a kind of techno-utopian world that the vendors will give us, which is technology will fix everything on its own. Now, the problem with that is, why bother taking small steps forward for us and for our users and for the people that we work with if this big utopian techno-fest is just round the bend? It defeats our little steps because just wait, no, just wait. There is something here around the corner that is amazing. Solve all of this. They've been saying that for a long time. Okay, 3 books. I've got 3 books here. So if you're interested in kind of more, knowing more about this, these are the 3 you need to get. So the first one's Glass Cage by Nicholas Carr. Next one's To Save Everything, Click Here by Evgeny Morozov. Technology, Solutionism and the Urge to Fix Problems That Don't Exist is the subtitle to that. And Weapons of Math Destruction, see what they did there, by Cathy O'Neill. So the reminders for those. There is an invisible man. It is not neutral. There is definitely an invisible man. Probably a man, could be a woman, probably a man. There, on the West Coast, tends to be on the Asperger's spectrum, so, but I am too, so that doesn't matter. But you know what I mean? It's that kind of thing. Who's making those decisions for you? So I would say, always let a trusted human make the final decision. They start off the pitch by saying this will replace all your staff in this area, and you think, whoa, right, if anybody says that, start to think, no, I'm not sure about this one. Because if you actually got this working, then you'll be worried about what's coming out. Yeah? If it's actually doing the job that they're pitching that it's doing, they should be worried about the power that they've got. Demand a confidence score. So on many of these machine learning things, so I can send a picture up to the internet of a pineapple and it comes back and says, this is 2 camels on a beach mat. I've got a confidence score of 0.7 on this, rather than 100. And that's what we need from the computers. On that Maxine Williams video, she talks about, I don't need massive sets of data, but I do need a confidence score, because if that confidence score fits with my gut, then I'll think, okay. I don't want to go too much into this, because I did a lot last year on it. So when we talk about the computerization of jobs and AI and its effect on it, there's plenty of stuff out there that you can kind of go and look at. This is the Oxford University. I'm going to shout because I'm going to point at this. So this is the Oxford University dual computer science and sociology survey as to which jobs do they think are going to be computerized the soonest. And at this end, you've got transportation, vehicle moving, production, installation. Yep. Notice no timeline there. The timeline is just ours to kind of see. And then at the other end, you've got stuff that's a bit more face-to-face and creative. Sales, fashion design, as I said earlier on, is one of the ones that's like way off the chart for, I don't think a robot will do this. Yep. So we don't know how long that's going to be, but we know the types of jobs that is here. And again, I don't want to dwell too much, apart from the ones that are most resilient are the kind of human ones which are using creativity and persuasiveness, this kind of face-to-face. You want to know more about that, just there's a famous video on YouTube called Humans Need Not Apply. Go there for that. So none of us know where the future holds, but we kind of know which things, in terms of bagatelle, which nails it's going to bounce off. Yeah, so I can talk a little bit about what I think, because I'm kind of doing those things, my own bias. Well, my bias is very clear. I believe in people. And I believe in the magic things that can happen when good people get together. Now, I also believe in technology. I'm not saying I don't believe in technology, but the crucial bit is that people come first. And not for its own sake, not because, hey, people, they're great, aren't they? It's because I actually believe that putting creativity and persuasiveness first and using the AI to support that is what the future needs. If you're going to be a successful business in the future, you will need that creativity and persuasiveness. When everything's efficient, what have you got? It's a bit like cars. You can't release an Austin Allegro for younger people in the crowd. That's like a rubbish car from the 70s. You can't release one of those anymore because there's a baseline of good cars. They're all pretty much the same. So what you need is something extra, cool design or something new. Now, the same will be in the future. Efficiency will be kind of done. And are you looking inward to your cost savings, or are you looking outward to, wow, what can we create? Yeah? So what's to stop where we are now to where we need to get there? Well, this is us now. If we talk about creativity and persuasiveness, then we are miles away. This is my relationship with work. Of all the things that I love, it's great when good people get together. Does that happen at work? No, not very often. Why is that? Because we're pretty much turning into robots. We are doing stuff on our computers all the time that doesn't allow us to use our human skills. AI might be kind of relatively far off, relatively 5-10 years, but we can control this now. We are busy doing nothing. How many people stay after everybody's left to get actually anything done? There's this mess in the middle of the day that everybody's, oh yeah, I did. I've got emails, I'm going to send emails and da-da-da. But actually, your to-do list just goes off. You don't actually clear anything down. And this is the reality of our work technology now. Rich people don't have this problem. Here's Richard Branson on Necker Island with his not one, but 2 personal assistants. He doesn't have a problem because he can pay for people to assist him so that he can be free to do his best human, creative, persuasive things. And this is what we all need. I mean, I just have one, thank you, but we all need an assistant. And when we look at the 80s or the 90s, this is an artist called Frank Stellar, when we thought about augmenting ourselves, this is what we thought about. Actually, it's a lot simpler than that. We've all got devices that can augment us, or do augment us now. So I talk to my team and I say, what I am looking for from you is more like the experience of Pokemon Go, in that, from work software. In that, it should be playful, it should be fun. We need to get a job done, but we need to be connected by the system in a transparent way. So, coming back to our central theme then, AI for or against people, the technology is neutral. We are not neutral. We have bias. That's us, that's the people that build this stuff. We are the ones who shape what gets done in the future. Yeah? We can subdue or amplify human values with our choices. So we all need to carry out due diligence. Sounds a bit formal, but you know what I mean? We need to just check out what systems we are applying in these areas, especially as AI becomes more prevalent. Now, don't take my word for it. This is something that Tim Cook from Apple said a week ago. I'm not worried about artificial intelligence giving computers the ability to think like humans. I'm more concerned about people thinking like computers, without values or compassion, without concern for consequence.